Right, I'm going to start today talking about the economic problem. This is a problem economics needs to solve. So, part of the problem is that resources are scarce. We haven't got all the petrol we want, or all the steel we want, or all the the plastic. It's limited. The quantity is limited. But the problem is our wants are unlimited. We all want to live in the best position in the city, in the best house, go on the best vacations, etc. But we can't, because the resources are limited. If we all went to the best vacation, you would have millions of people blocking the roads. You wouldn't be able to get there. We couldn't all live in the best house in the city, in the best position in the city. We couldn't all have a very, very, very expensive car. So this is the problem that economics tries to solve, because it tries to make the best use of the resources to maximise our wants and make them less restricted. Now, we have to make choices because the resources are limited. We have to choose how to allocate our resources. And here you see, if somebody has a choice, maybe they have some money and they want to spend it, they have many options and they have to choose an option. Which means when you choose an option, you have an opportunity cost. As soon as we choose an option, it means we give up the other option. So it's cost us an opportunity. Just think, any decision you make, you give up the other option, the next best option. The opportunity cost is the next best option. For example, you can decide either to do an hour of studying, or 2 hours, watch 2 hours of television. If you watch television, it's cost you the opportunity of studying. If you study, it's cost you the opportunity of watching television. So there's always this opportunity cost. And the opportunity cost is always the next best option. Here we can see you need to decide whether to go to a restaurant, to make a meal at home, or get a takeaway. If you make a decision, you lose an opportunity. The next best option is the opportunity cost. Very important in economics, this opportunity cost. If we want to know how to find the best way to use our resources, we really need to know what the opportunity cost is. Is it too much? Is it more than what we've decided? Okay. An example, if you want a holiday, not me because I'm English, so it talks about England, you have €1,000 and you've got your 3 preferred options. So the 3 best options you prefer are: 1, to go to England to improve your English, or the second option, to go to Greece to explore ancient Greece, or to go to France and save a bit of money. So here, obviously you decide your best option is to go to England and improve your English. So what is your opportunity cost? That's the question. Here it's to go to Greece and explore ancient Greece, because that's the next best option. So you're giving up, you're sacrificing that option to make a decision. And that is the opportunity cost. Very, very fundamental for economics. the opportunity cost. We're talking today about the fundamentals of economics, and another fundamental is the factors of production. To produce, to have an output in a factory or an organisation or whatever, you need inputs, and the resources are the inputs. That could be, workers, it could be raw materials, it could be, robotic action, etc. But we need these resources, these inputs. And we break it down into 4 categories. In economics, the factors of production are broken into 4 categories. One is land. And land, we mean the land, but also the sea and the desert, etc. Also the air, the space even. But also everything that comes from land. That could be wood, it could be this metal, all the raw materials are within this. So anything land produces, that is a category of factors of production. The second category is labour. That could be physical labour, but we know that physical labour in the modern world is not very valued. It can be done often by robotic, automatic machines, and it doesn't change much in the world. It's the intellectual labour that has real value in the world, that can change the world. Think of Steve Jobs. With his intellect, he was able to change the world. This is Steve Jobs who invented different technologies and changed the world. So the intellectual labour now has a much bigger impact in economics, and is where a lot of the value is. And then the third category is enterprise. And by enterprise we mean all the different structures, all the different organisations. You've got Apple, Google, Amazon, but also public organisations. Any organisation which produces, because these are a very valuable resource. These are where the knowledge of how to put the other resources together to produce these wonderful things like computers, cars, etc. So these are very valuable resource, enterprise, very competed for in the world. America and China are all trying to get all the enterprise to come to them. And that means, you've got all these organisations that are very important factors of production, deciding where to go. Then last category is capital. By capital, we don't mean money. It can be money, but we mean the buildings, the tools and the equipment, anything that we need to produce the products. So what produces the products? Could be vans to move, could be robots, anything, instruments we use, also the buildings, anything we use to produce the goods or services. So those are the factors of production. There are free goods that aren't scarce. So I've said that economic goods and services are scarce, but there are free goods. We call them free goods because they're not scarce and they have no value. For example, air, very important to breathe, very precious that we do breathe, very valuable in that sense. But it costs nothing because it's everywhere, because it's not limited. So It could be limited in the future with pollution. Maybe we will need breathing equipment and oxygen, portable oxygen, and then we will have to pay for air. Once something becomes scarce, we start having to pay for it. So maybe in the future with pollution, let's hope not. Another fundamental of economics is consumption, because you cannot have production without consumption. It's no point producing things that nobody wants, that nobody buys, that nobody uses. We do tend to think of consumption as something just physical and just consuming things like, I don't know, holidays and wine and foods and clothes and watches. But, and that's given consumption a bit of a bad name, but actually we consume a lot more that isn't physical. Just this lesson, a lesson is a consumption. The students are consuming the lesson. I'm producing the lesson and they are consuming. And it's very important, this consumption, because without consumption, there's no work. Production means, well, it doesn't necessarily mean someone has to work, but without consumption, there's definitely no work. It can be, scientists looking for a cure for COVID, this illness, that we are consuming their work, their efforts. So consumption is very important, because without consumption, there's no work, there's no reason to get out of bed. We're not going anywhere, we've got no direction. We do need consumption always to grow, because we want production to grow in value. We're not talking about just producing more things, but actually producing maybe a cyclical, sustainable economy that's not just ruining the world, but we do need consumption to always be increasing. Okay, another fundamental of economics is the necessity to exchange, the need to exchange goods and services. To put this in perspective, we're going to think about just a pencil. How to make a pencil. A famous economist talked about making a pencil and how nobody in the world knew how to make a pencil. We all know little bits, little pieces, but we exchange to make that pencil. Because, for example, to make that pencil, you have to know how to cut a tree down. And then you have to know how to produce a chainsaw to cut the tree down. And then you have to know how to produce all the plastics and the metals and all the how to put it together to produce the chainsaw. And then obviously you've got to know how to make equipment like this, extraction equipment, to take the plastics and the metals from the earth. And then you've got to know how to produce vans to bring pencils to the market, etc., etc. So we need to exchange, because everything I know and everything I can produce on my own is very, very fundamental. Maybe grow a carrot or something. But a modern economy, even the simplest thing, like making a pencil, is impossible without a huge amount of exchange of knowledge, of know-how. Imagine what the exchange is to make a computer or a projector. A lot. And how is this exchange done? In an economy, the exchange is done through money. That money is just an instrument of exchange. And earning money and spending money and investing money, all instruments of exchange. Okay, so we'll go a little bit back to opportunity cost because it's very important. So we've got to remember opportunity cost is the cost of not doing an option because you've chosen an alternative. Okay, so it's cost you an opportunity. And in a world of limited resources, we need to know what is the best opportunity. So we've got to look at all the next best option to make sure we are using the resources in the right way. And we've got to remember that the opportunity cost is the next best option. Next best. Okay. So, now what is the purpose of economics? So I said the purpose of economics is to find the best way to use the scarce resources to maximise our wants. But to go a little bit deeper, we need economics to avoid terrible situations like the Depression. I mean, economics developed as a science because of these situations. They didn't understand how to resolve a crisis, an economic crisis, and it kept going down and down. The crisis kept getting worse and worse into a depression. It led to very, very few jobs and millions dying from hunger. And people, here we've got a picture of somebody moving everything he's got because there's no jobs. This was in America in the 30s, a terrible situation. And then it does cause a lot of conflict. This is Argentina, when they went bankrupt. Argentina went bankrupt. This means their money is worth nothing, and there are very few goods and services available. And here we see the crowds getting very angry and the police trying to control them. And, people in Argentina, they would go into the shop and just take things, because if they've got a child at home hungry, obviously they need to feed the child. So it caused a complete breakdown for the social pact, for the peace, the social peace. So the purpose of economics is to avoid this. It's the most fundamental activity we do to keep together as a society, as a nation state, is economic, is producing and exchanging things and working together, being able to work together. Okay.